Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here. Today we're talking about the best games of 2025. Last week we did a video about the worst and most disappointing games of this year, but today I want to talk about the stuff that really surprised me. In the last 12 months, we have had a lot of very innovative, completely different, very interesting, and very fun games. But for this video, I'm going to make two ground rules. One, no remakes. Mostly because, honestly, there's been a lot of completely new stuff this year that I really enjoyed, and it kind of seems sort of to defeat the purpose to basically say, hey, here's a great game they brought back. My other rule is I'm going to talk about the games that I not only loved the most, but played the most. Because there is some stuff like Arc Raiders that I enjoyed, but I only played about 30 hours of it. There is some stuff that honestly I feel like you have to play hundreds of hours to fully grasp. So for me, these are the games I played the most, loved the most, and really just I think are going to go down in the history books as 2025 bangers. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 10. Chronos: The New Dawn. Last year we got the very amazing Silent Hill 2 remake from Bloober Team, and I love that. Everybody loved that, but to me personally, I was curious about their original stories. I always like to see something make something totally original, right? There have been other original Bloober Team games in the past, but they're always a bit raw. I wanted to see what they would do after Silent Hill 2. Chronos: The New Dawn is a completely original concept that is not just terrifying, it's mind-blowing. We're a time-traveling monster hunter going back to a destroyed version of Poland to essentially capture souls and go against these very bad beasties called the Orphans. I loved everything about this game. It just feels like such cool retro horror. Resource starvation, very limited stuff to actually have almost no bullets. Monsters that take a lot of freaking hits to go down. The monsters can eat each other. It's called merging and get stronger and stronger. So even in a fight that feels like it's over, one monster can end up basically overtaking you, even if you are able to actually get some good headshots. I loved Chronos: The New Dawn because it is a new style of retro horror. I would take a sequel of this immediately, and it makes me even more excited about what Bloober Team tries to do next. Number 9. Hollow Knight: Silksong. I still cannot believe this game actually came out. After so many years in development, this game was basically a unicorn. It felt like it was never ever actually going to exist. But it's here, and it is fantastic. Now, right before Silksong came out, I actually went back and rebeat the original Hollow Knight, so I was extra prepared for ducking and dodging and stuff. Silksong is a masterpiece. It's a brutal masterpiece. It's very difficult. Some of the bosses did at times frustrate me, but everything from the movement to the traversal, to the exploration, to the upgrades, to the art itself. This is a truly unique piece of original art. I was in love with Silksong from start to finish, and even when I was absolutely getting decimated or died what I felt like was an unfair death, instead of making me mad, it made me want to learn it better. This is the true perfection of Hollow Knight, and it's even better in Silksong, which still feels crazy to say. Number 8. Split Fiction. There's a very eccentric game developer named Joseph Fares who's made a bunch of very legendary co-op games. Stuff like It Takes Two and A Way Out, but this one is definitely his best one yet. Split Fiction is adorable. I love the core concept of it. This is a forced co-op game. You cannot play it by yourself, but what's cool is that if you buy one copy of it, you can basically buy one, get one free. Your friend you play it with, even online, can play it for free, but the whole idea of it is that it's these two girls that go to this company that lets you essentially pitch a book by going into this like VR pod and living out your story, but they accidentally fall into the same VR pod. So one of them is trying to make a dark, gritty, cool, futuristic sci-fi story, whereas the other one's trying to make a very positive, very flowery, sort of classic fantasy tale. And since they fall into the same pod, now their stories get blended together. Every level alternates between the two characters sort of taking the lead. So you're actually going through like crazy motorbike levels, and then suddenly you're learning magic, or now you're being able to transform into fairy creatures. And then next you're doing like giant cyber blade attacks through a dystopian future. I love that both of their stories are so dang heartwarming. They reflect upon their lives, their losses, their victories, but it's more than that. It's just dang fun. I played this completely with a friend of mine in like one sitting, and we were legitimately at the freaking TV cheering, hoot, and hollering at some of these bosses. This game is so Joseph Fares down to the core, and I'm glad that hopefully he keeps doing this kind of stuff. I want co-op Joseph Fares forever. Number 7, Battlefield 6. When I was really growing up and playing those early online games, they were very, very rough. They were very archaic at the time, but the big craving I had specifically with online shooters was I wanted to just be a player on the battlefield. I don't necessarily want to be the hero. I don't want to be the grand guy that's the main character and stuff. I like the idea of this big, crazy, destructive, sloppy war, and we're a single soldier in it. Battlefield 6 does that perfectly. It is insane to get in these giant 100-player matches with fully destructible environments and capturable points and pushing the boundaries of war, getting in tanks, trying to pick up that next weapon and get a sloppy shot before your revive fails and stuff. I loved Battlefield 6. Everybody loves Battlefield 6. This game is truly the Call of Duty killer because this coming out first, this game sold like crazy. It is fantastic, but it was funny that it sucked all the oxygen out of the room that nobody wants that cartoonish crap that they're doing over at COD. I have played so much Battlefield 6. I've done a lot of just trying to test out all the different operators and stuff, and I even got really hooked on that free Battle Royale they did. Battlefield 6, I feel like, is straight up maybe one of the best first-person online shooters I have ever played in my life. Maybe just ignore that rather rough campaign. Number 6, Ghost of Yotei. One of the very last Sony games we got on the PlayStation 4 was Ghost of Tsushima, and that game, it was such an experience. It was gorgeous, it was evocative, it was just so, honestly, classic. It felt like an old school black and white samurai film, but fully playable with duels and fields and people trying to basically get these blood revenges and stuff, but I was curious to see how they could do a sequel. Ghost of Yotei is bigger, it's more beautiful, and honestly, in a lot of ways, it's even more savage. This main character will do anything. She does not care about honor. She does not care about justice. It is about brutally taking out every single target. And I like the fact that one of the things that really got me the most about Yotei is sort of the exploration system, because you don't know where the targets are. You're trying to kill these people called the Yotei 6, and while you're searching for them, it's not exactly a straight line. A lot of times, just by helping villagers or exploring things and stuff, you slowly get hints as to their location. And once you get them, it's a whole separate set of missions of basically trying to take down these legendary, terrible tyrants. I loved Ghost of Yotei. I know that some people didn't. Some people felt that it was barely an upgrade to Ghost of Tsushima. But to me, since Tsushima was already the very best PlayStation 4 game, upgrading that experience even by 5%, to me, Yotei deserves all the love it got and more. I absolutely loved this game. Number 5, Death Stranding 2. Alright, let's just admit it, this game is kind of controversial, but not for the reason I feel like people typically find games to be controversial. Normally when people kind of hate stuff, it's because they think that it's got bad design or bad gameplay, or just in general it's kind of boring. And I always thought that Death Stranding as a universe, it's trying to be strange. It's trying to be bizarre with tar submarines and practically time travel and people in these loops of life and death. But I feel like Death Stranding 2 almost feels like an answer to bad art. This game is so fun. It has way more combat, way more exploration, way more just craziness that actually fits into the world. Death Stranding 2 feels like more than just a sequel. It feels like an advancement of the Hideo Kojima concept. I put a lot of hours into this game, and even still, this is one of those games that I like because every cutscene is so off the wall, mind-bendingly strange, and yet fits the universe. There's like people with 2 left hands performing weird psychic baby surgery, there's ninja cooks, there's quests with VTubers, but it's not just about cameos and strangeness and stuff. Death Stranding 2 truly has a passion and art and love at the center of it. It has an actual care for the freaking genre. It has an actual love for video games that a lot of stuff in this like corporate genre now, it feels like so many games feel like they purely exist to make cash. Death Stranding 2, even if it sold 0 copies, I know that Kojima would be happy because he made his own weird vision. If you have not played Death Stranding 2, play it. Go into it with an open mind and have it just bleed out of your ears. Number 4. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I don't play a lot of simulation games. I'll be honest, a lot of times if it's too realistic, if a game has too many weird subsystems like tuning and crafting and stuff that just makes it where you have to basically live inside that game to even barely grasp it, those are the kind of games that for me are the hardest to kind of sink my teeth into. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, this is straight up a hyper-detailed, ultra-realistic, medieval simulator. You can become a blacksmith, or a bandit, or a cop, and wander the countryside as Henry of Skalitz. But what's the most fun is that you truly cannot trick this game. You can try any weird tactic to get out of a job or escape and stuff. This game has hundreds, if not thousands, of branching paths, and all of them are absolutely so deep and creative. I really like this game because it's the thing that I feel like it walks that fine line of making stuff hard, but at the same time, very, very rewarding. Like, learning the combat took me so long. Just the whole exhaustion and aiming your hits, trying to actually get the guns and stuff, like medieval equivalent of guns to shoot people and stuff. This game is very, very, very tough to grasp. But if you can wrap your mind around it, this game is a masterpiece. It's not often, sometimes people talk about recency bias, right? A lot of times the games that win the most Game Awards like are typically released in like October or November, right? Or a couple summer releases. This came out in February and people have been playing it, talking about it, and memeing on it for the entire year. This is the kind of game where I feel like this is straight up medieval Baldur's Gate 3. This is that kind of game where you can just play it forever and always find new stuff to enjoy. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I did not realize it would be so good, and I'm glad I played it with an open mind, because what the heck? Number 3, Hades 2. There's been a huge explosion of roguelikes over the course of the last couple of years. Games with a randomized element to it, random upgrades, random re-leveling, random cool paths, random bosses. But what's funny is that the original Hades has always been the roguelike gold standard. The first Hades game was definitely like the best of the best. And somehow Hades 2 takes that a step further. It is twice the size, more weapons, more bosses, way more of everything, but also optional lesbian romance. I loved everything about this, right? I just think that Hades 2, I like the fact that honestly, the art is so different. The music, every single track in this game is such a bop. But more than that, it's just a blast to play. I love the Hades games because with any roguelike, the most addictive aspect of it is getting that good run going, right? All right, I've got my favorite weapon. Oh, I've got the best blessings and boons. Oh, I've got a really strong build where every time I dodge, I can deflect bullets. And oh, now I've got that upgrade where instead of actually having multiple attacks, I do one huge blow, but it has a 3-second cooldown. So now I can just duck and dodge and then get in there and do a giant strike. Getting upgrades like Cheat Death that lets you have an extra life if you die on the last boss. This game is so dang fun, man. You know what? I expect it to be good. I played Hades 2 a lot in early access, but now that it's 1.0, it's actually released, Hades 2 is massive. If you've not played it yet, it's on a bunch of systems. Hades 2 is so big. If you're looking for something that's cheap, that you can get lost in for weeks or months, this is the roguelike of the year easily. Number 2, Silent Hill F. Wow, 2 survival horror games in one video. Well, look, I think it's been a good year for frights, but I also like the fact that I'm a very old school fan of Silent Hill. I've played every game, every single game, and I've tried to 100% them, getting every ending, every secret weapon, every secret costume. But Silent Hill F, this game stands very much on its own. This takes place in 1960s Japan with a main character named Hinako, and suddenly this strange fog rolls in and essentially turns her entire town into a beautiful mess of monsters. That's the whole theme of this, right? Is the terror of beauty. I like this game because it has a very different style of gameplay. It almost has this Dark Souls-ish vibe to it. You've got a stamina system. Your weapons degrade and actually have to be constantly replaced. But even the monsters themselves, I like the fact that the game doesn't seem to shy away from really just getting in your face with the frights. There's not just a lot of jump scares, but a lot of times, a lot of the puzzles and stuff will really freak you out. But also, man, is it dark. I've always thought that one of the best parts of Silent Hill stories is that they are just unflinchingly messed up. Silent Hill F might genuinely be the most messed up Silent Hill ever. But what I also like is that you can beat this game over and over again to unlock all the different endings, and stuff in the game changes, which I did not expect. The second or third time you're going through this game and you find stuff in different locations, or you hear different lines or see different cutscenes, you start to think, wait a minute, is Silent Hill F sort of learning from the player? I absolutely got blown away from this game. I went in with the highest expectations and it still completely exceeded it. The fact that this game sold so well genuinely makes me happy because I want weird stuff like this. I want Silent Hill to keep going in different directions and not just a bunch of great remakes, right? I want new Silent Hill to keep being this good specifically. Number 1, Expedition 33. Look, okay, we all knew this was going to be number 1. I love turn-based RPGs, but I want to tell you about why this game completely just melted my brain, right? I am a kid that grew up totally in love with turn-based RPGs, especially classic JRPGs, you know, stuff like the old school Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. Those were like my main bread and butter. And in a lot of ways, the developers have said their goal was to basically make a new Final Fantasy X, something that is this bleak, rather hopeless style of story, but with this glimmer of centeredness to it, right? A center of characters trying to expand and explore and sort of survive against all odds. Expedition 33 takes place in a land called Lumiere, where essentially there's this giant monster on the horizon called the Paintress, and every year she paints one number lower. When that number shows up, everybody in the land vanishes. There have been a bunch of expeditions. Every year, people, if it's your turn to go and die next, people sail towards that far off land to try and kill the Paintress. And this goal is basically a lost cause. Nobody has ever come back. But if your choice is to basically get gourmaged, which is like killed by the Paintress, or sail there and try and survive, a lot of people choose to go on those expeditions. But Expedition 33, this game feels like it reminds me so much of that old school first time you're ever playing a Final Fantasy vibe. The monster design is great. The world is great. The builds you can make, all the different upgrades and customizations and weapons, and honestly, the whole land of this lost continent. When I was a kid, I kept getting pets here and there, right? And I'd always name them after Final Fantasy characters. I had a big old fat yellow cat named Cloudy and stuff like that, right? I think there's going to be a ton of people growing up now where Expedition 33 is going to be their Final Fantasy VII, what that is for me. There's going to be people naming their cats Gustav and stuff like that, right? This game is perfect. It is so freaking good. I have watched hundreds of hours of interviews about how they even made it because it is so good. When I was reviewing this, this is my favorite review I have ever made in my entire life because before this game came out, it felt like nobody was talking about it. I got a super early review code. I played it like 100% before launch and sitting there for weeks and weeks at a time, just literally bawling my eyes out. The story is so perfect, and then it comes out and the whole world just breaks in half at its brilliance. This is still the game that I feel like is going to go down in the history books. I think Expedition 33 might be in my top 5 favorite games of all time, excluding Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasies, there's like a billion of those, and those are all on my list. This might be in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Expedition 33 is legitimately that good. It is so fantastic. Even if you've never played a turn-based RPG, even if you've never heard of it, play this game and have your brain changed today. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future video? Be sure to put it in the comments down below. And if you could, please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. I had so much fun this year. I'll be honest, man. I love this job a lot. It's so fun talking video games, but it's also cool when a year just absolutely, genuinely blows me away. I never could have predicted that we would have just so much lovely, passionate, interesting, weird games. It's been a year that I feel like at the start I expected very little from. Sometimes there's good years or bad years. This was honestly a fantastic year for gaming, and honestly I'm glad I got to do it with you guys. Hope you have a good holiday, and I guess I'm already looking a lot at 2026 release dates. Looks like next year is going to start cooking. Mmm.